And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And you know what? Like every other day that I talk to you, boy, have we got a show for you today. But you know what? Before that, I want you to stand by for news. Right now, at 3:01 p.m. Pacific time, it's currently 55 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, it's not so sunny right now. It's raining outside. The animals are lining up 2 by 2. We've had a couple of days of rain, and then we're going to have a few days of dry and a couple more days of rain. So we'll see what's going on with that. But anyway, we've got a special show for you today. On today's show, we're going to be discussing what's in the news. New legislation, the IRS loses. And I'm going to answer your emails, and I do that every day, Monday through Friday. And then on today's special segments, well, we're going to have John Matthews. He's going to join me on our twice-a-week simulcast, the Conservative Syndicate. And we're going to be talking about, conservatives. We're going to be talking about the Democratic debate and the Republican debate and the fiasco that's going on in politics today. And right after that, we'll have John Hanson here, that little old wine drinker. We'll be talking about food and wine. I'm going to report to him on a special dinner that I had here at my home with my son and his fiancée. And we're going to talk about that and the wines that we had. There were wines actually that John recommended. He just didn't know that he recommended them. So anyway, we'll talk about those kinds of things as well. But right now, I want to talk to you about the 10 things that you need to know for today, Monday. We've actually encapsulated these so we can deal with a number of them, and then we'll get to more in-depth things. Here are the 10 things that you need to know for today, your daily look at late-breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that will be talked about all day today and probably tomorrow. First up, Nancy Reagan dies at age 94. The former First Lady was the helpmate, backstage advisor, and fierce protector of Ronald Reagan during his journey from actor to president. And what's making GOP leaders uncomfortable? The best hope for stopping Trump's march on to the Republican nomination may be Cruz, the only candidate who causes as much heartburn among party elites as the billionaire businessman himself. And a fresh off the bowl victory, Peyton Manning is calling it quits. We kind of knew that was going to happen. Just shy of 40 years old, the superstar quarterback is going to forego $19 million in a 19th season in the NFL. Well, you know what? It's not like he needs the money, and I think he's smart to get out while he's ahead. What kind of a high could that have been for him, right? Yeah. Well, where the European Union wants to draw the line on migrants, the bloc's leaders are aiming to persuade Turkey to slow the flow of migrants traveling to Europe and take back thousands who don't qualify for asylum. And suicide bomber kills dozens at a checkpoint south of Baghdad. The third massive bombing recently in or near the city appears part of a campaign by the Islamic State group to wreak havoc and force the government to overextend its forces. Well, the journey through the war zone reveals stark contrasts. An AP reporter describes a trip through Syria organized by the Russian military, from the calm of a coastal Assad stronghold to a village being shelled by militants. And here's some good news for you. Jimmy Carter says he no longer needs treatment for cancer. The announcement comes less than 7 months after the former president revealed that he had been diagnosed with melanoma that had spread to his brain. Man, I think he's 92 or 93 years old. Fantastic. Good news. And an inventor of modern email dies. Until Ray Tomlinson's invention in 1971 of the first network person-to-person email, there was no way to send something to a specific person at a specific address. That's where that little @ sign came from. And how CLIFI, that's C-L-I-F-I, is spreading. Colleges and universities are incorporating into their curriculums the evolving genre of literature that focuses on the changes coming to Earth as the result of climate change. And finally, Mushers set off from Alaska town as the Iditarod race begins. The winner is expected in the Gold Rush era town of Nome on Alaska's western coast in about 9 days. Well, that takes care of the encapsulated news. Let's talk about some more in-depth things. North Korea is at it again. They're threatening nuke strikes on the United States and South Korea. North Korea today issued its latest belligerent threat, warning of an indiscriminate preemptive nuclear strike of justice on Washington and Seoul, this time in reaction to the start of huge U.S.-South Korean military drills. Such threats have been a staple of young North Korean leader Kim Jong-un since he took power after the dictator's father died in December of 2011. But they spike especially when Washington and Seoul stage what they call annual defensive springtime war games. Pyongyang says the drills, which started Monday, or today actually, and run through the end of April, are invasion rehearsals. The North's powerful National Defense Commission threatened strikes against targets in the South, U.S. bases in the Pacific, and the U.S. mainland, saying its enemies are working with bloodshot eyes to infringe upon the dignity, sovereignty, and vital rights of North Korea. You know what? If we push the buttons to annihilate the enemies, even right now, all bases of provocations will be reduced to seas of flames and ashes in a moment, the North statement said. Yeah, and then North Korea would cease to exist. Because do you really think we're going to allow those kinds of threats against humanity? I don't think so. Well, who's an outsider? GOP establishment fears loss of standing. Republican leaders in Washington have spent years casting Tea Party allies and hardliners in Congress as merely a restive minority, a fringe element to be tolerated. Now, with Donald Trump and Ted Cruz rising to the top of the 2016 GOP presidential primary, those party leaders are confronting the possibility that they may be the outliers. One by one, Washington's favored candidates have dropped out of the White House race. Those who are left, Marco Rubio and John Kasich, face long odds in sudden death primaries in their home states next week. In private conversations and public newspaper editorials, talk of a historic splintering of the GOP centers on the prospect of the establishment, not the insurgents, dissolving or breaking away. Something important is ending. It is hard to believe what replaces it with will be better. Peggy Noonan, a speechwriter for Ronald Reagan, wrote in a Wall Street Journal column. Wow. Republicans have long grappled with the divide between party leaders and grassroots supporters. Recent presidential elections papered over the fissures rather than resolved them, with Republicans sending centrist candidates John McCain and Mitt Romney into the general election, even as the GOP electorate became more conservative. This could be the beginning of the end for the Conservative Party, or at least the GOP. Now, you know what? We'll probably talk about that at some length with John Matthews and Joe Hakos today. Hopefully Joe's back from his illness today, and we'll get to say hello to him. And Trump's path to victory. Both parties are working class whites, and I'm going to talk to you about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking news. And just like I told you before we went on this commercial break, Trump's path to victory, both parties, working class whites. Yeah, well, should he win the Republican nomination, Donald Trump's most plausible path to victory in the general election would be a GOP map unlike any in years. He'd be relying on working class, largely white voters in states that have long been Democratic bastions in presidential contests, from Maine to Pennsylvania to Michigan. To make that work, he'd have to thread a narrow needle, not only holding on to those core supporters, but also softening rhetoric that has alienated black and Latino voters and claiming those in the GOP who vow to never vote for him. It could be tricky, but the past 8 months have taught political professionals in both parties not to underestimate the man. He attracts a different kind of voter, said GOP pollster Frank Luntz. It's a completely different equation. Trump has signaled he's already thinking about the general election, bragging that we've actually expanded the Republican Party in slamming Hillary Clinton as part of the political establishment that's to blame for the sour economy. You know, she's been there for so long, Trump said, after notching 7 victories on Super Tuesday in states as diverse as Massachusetts and Alabama. I mean, if she hasn't straightened it out by now, she's not going to straighten it out in the next 4 years. Trump has dominated a majority of Republican primaries by combining his celebrity and can-do demeanor with a message that once was off limits in both parties, a full-throated demand to restrict both trade and immigration. That's now a potent mix for voters from any party who've seen jobs vanish and wages stagnate in an increasingly globalized economy. Immigration and trade policy changes, the winners and losers, and the people who are going to be in play are the ones who are the losers in that process, said Roy Beck of Numbers USA, which advocates limiting immigration. This has the potential to turn out a lot of voters. Well, time will tell. We'll see. You know what? If anybody can beat Trump, it's got to be Ted Cruz. I think he's the only one that stands a chance. In any event, it's hard to tell who's going to be running. It looks pretty close to me. It's going to be Hillary and it's going to be Trump. Now the Trump part might be a close one. It'll either be Hillary and Trump or Hillary and Ted. I don't think Bernie has got a shot at this unless there's some miracle out there in the electoral votes that are pledged already. Well, let's talk about Mexican president. Trump language like that of Hitler is what the Mexican president says. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto compared the language of Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump to that of dictators Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini in an interview published today, and said it has hurt U.S.-Mexico relations. Asked about Trump, Peña Nieto complained to the Excelsior newspaper about these strident expressions that seek to propose very simple solutions, and said that that sort of language has led to very fateful scenes in the history of humanity. That's the way Mussolini arrived, and that's the way Hitler arrived, Peña Nieto said. Peña Nieto until now had avoided direct comments on Trump, who has pledged to build a wall along the two country borders, and has said Mexican immigrants bring crime and drugs to the United States and are rapists. Wow. I can see the difficulty going on there, but I'm not sure, if Trump were to become president, a lot of what he says is true. With the trade deficit the way it is, he can certainly make Mexico pay for that wall or crush them economically. So I think, let's see what happens. It seems to me that when you start fooling around with countries' economies, war is imminent. Do we really want another war? I don't think so. And we're not talking about just Mexico. We're talking about Mexico and Japan and China and Russia and North Korea, and things are not looking that friendly around here. Well, how about this? Refugees are stranded in Greece and they're awaiting news of their fate. While European leaders struggled today for a unified approach to the refugee crisis, tens of thousands of people affected by their decisions were left stranded in Greece, with countries along the migrant trail gradually tightening border controls to staunch the northward flood. The restrictions along what has become known as the Western Balkan route has left about 13 to 14,000 people stuck on the Greek-Macedonian border near the village of Idomeni, and more than 36,000 people in the financially stricken country. The European Union held a summit meeting today with Turkey to try to halt the flow of thousands of refugees and migrants coming from the Turkish coast to nearby Greek islands, whose proximity has made the country the preferred route into Europe. But while European leaders haggled in Brussels, a punishing thunderstorm turned much of the overcrowded Idomeni camp into a sea of mud. Conditions are deteriorating in the camp, which was set up only for about 2,000 people, and crews are struggling to maintain hygiene. Well, we'll see what happens. Things are not so rosy, are they? No, not really, if you think about it. The latest here, Greece wants to move migrants away from the border, actually. The latest on the migration crisis, as leaders from the European Union and Turkey meet in Brussels. The Greek authorities say that they want to move the bulk of the estimated 14,000 migrants stuck in a sprawling tent city on the border with Macedonia to camps elsewhere. But Deputy Defense Minister Dimitri Drisas has ruled out using force, saying instead that officials will ask people to travel voluntarily to camps still under construction. More than 36,000 people seeking asylum in other parts of Europe are stuck in Greece, more than a third of them near the Greek border village of Idomeni. Wow. Just, you know what? As we sit here and I'm complaining about the weather outside, and the truth is I actually like this kind of weather, people out there are really, they're enduring this same kind of weather, and they're outside in it without any protection. Give that a thought. Well, do not go away, because when we come back, I'm going to talk about the IRS loses. You're going to love the cases that I've got for you today, so don't go away. We'll be right back.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses. website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Dental Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. I've tried to pick out some good cases for you today. The first one up is business deduction for family medical expenses. Think about this. Here's the case. Ralph Fram was self-employed as the owner of a business with one employee, and that was his wife. He had to adopt an employee benefit plan providing medical insurance covering its employees and their families, including him as the spouse of an employee. The IRS objected. This is what they said. The business could deduct only the part of the premiums covering his wife's medical expenses and not his. He went to court. This is what the judge said. Such medical coverage is a common business expense and is deductible by self-employeds the same way that it is by other businesses. So here's the point. Greater tax benefits such as reduced self-employment tax may result from a business expense deduction for medical insurance than from the normal deduction for it, because you don't have that 15.3% self-employment tax, which is both ends of Social Security and Medicare. So I give that, that's a big difference when you think about your regular tax rate and add that to it. How about this? The IRS loses. Penalties are lifted on a misvaluation of stock. Here's the case. When Hotels.com paid stock compensation to key employees, it put a high value on its shares for a large deduction, while the employees reported a lower value, reducing their taxable income. Now, a court upheld the lower value, and the IRS imposed penalties on Hotels.com for overvaluing the stock and underpaying tax as a result. They went to court. This is what the judge said. The fact that there was a dispute with the employees over the valuation did not mean that the company's valuation was unreasonable. It had followed the advice of outside experts when it filed its return, and failure to file an amended return cannot support a negligence penalty. So, the penalties are lifted. By the way, the negligence penalty is 50% of the tax owed, on a case like that. So it's a big deal if you think about it. Now, how about this? This case is the IRS loses tax collection actions after bankruptcy are void. Here's the case. A company went broke owing trust fund employment taxes and declared bankruptcy. Now, its owner declared personal bankruptcy. The IRS then sent her a Form 2751 proposed assessment of trust fund recovery penalty, which she signed. Now, acknowledging that she actually owed the tax, using this, the IRS started collection and levy actions against her. She protested, went to court. This is what the judge said. A declaration of bankruptcy automatically stays all IRS collection actions, and the fact that the IRS sent the form violated the stay. Moreover, the violation means that the form is void. The IRS can never act on it rather than merely voidable or suspended during the bankruptcy. Now that has got to put a smile on your face. The IRS just continually tries to flex its muscles in an unreasonable way and think that, well, you know what? They get to make up the rules around here, not you and me. And it's sort of like changing the rules of a football game in the middle of the game. Now, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing things. That's where we're at right now with this segment we call Inside the IRS. It's a little bit like the Twilight Zone. Yeah, now these are not tax court cases, but these are precedents and things that the IRS has done that you can actually use in your own benefit if you apply them in the proper way. And we'd always encourage you to use a licensed professional to help you with that. But here's one for you. When a routine audit turns into a criminal investigation, you know what? It's not unusual for a revenue agent to uncover criminal conduct, intent to evade tax, is what that is, during a routine audit. For instance, personal expenses may have been claimed as business expenses, or income may not have been reported because the checks were negotiated by a check cashing service and were not entered as gross income on the tax return. How to protect yourself? Do not let the accountant who prepared your tax return get involved in your audit. Why? Because he or she may ultimately become a witness against you if there's a criminal trial. Also, the accountant may incriminate you during the course of the examination. Might say, hey, my client told me that the personal expenses should be claimed as a business expense. If someone commits tax fraud, he should hire an experienced criminal tax attorney to handle the audit, starting with that very first phone call to the revenue agent. That's the best advice I can actually give you guys. Just always do that. Well, let me give you this one. The IRS is delaying refunds for international filers. Go figure, right? It's all about money. If you think that the government isn't just a big business, you're wrong. Non-residents filing Form 1040-NR can expect to wait for their refunds relating to their current tax returns. These tax returns are now being processed in Dallas instead of Philadelphia, where they had been processed for years. Now, calling the IRS and asking about the status of your refund is virtually useless, since many of these tax returns have not even been posted on its computer system. What do? If the tax returns have not been posted on its computer system, you got some problems. If the IRS does not have a record of your tax return, send it another signed copy together with a cover letter explaining that you were informed that there is no record of the first return that you filed. Send the return by certified mail, return receipt requested. Ask your accountant to mail the tax return on your behalf if you're located outside the country. Try to get the name of a person that you can address your letter to. And your best bet, follow up every 2 weeks and try to get a manager to take an interest in your case. That is going to be the best thing that you can do. Now, don't go away, folks. When we come back, we're going to be with our own John Matthews, and hopefully Joe Hakos will be back from his sickbed. We'll get an update from that as well. And we're going to talk about conservative politics and the mishmash and the mess and the schoolyard fights that are going on. So don't go away. We'll be right back with John Matthews in the Conservative Syndicate Corner.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the basement of his strategic planning room located at his political hideaway in Los Angeles County, the dedicated man who stands and serves the political conscience of our nation, Mr. John Matthews.
And before we get to John, I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:34 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 55 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 43 degrees. But if you're listening to us on our global network and you're in New York City, it's 60 degrees and it's clear. And in Chicago, Illinois, 59 degrees and it's overcast. You know what? We got people listening to us from all over and we really appreciate it. Now, we're waiting for John Matthews to call in. Hopefully, he's going to be with Joe Hakos this week. Joe's been gone for a while. He's been under the weather. Hopefully, he's back and in full force, and look forward to talking to both of them. If not, we'll certainly get an update on it. We're also going to be talking about the Republican debate Republican Party's debate last week, and we'll be talking about the Democratic debate that took place over the weekend as well. There's lots of things to talk about. There's lots of disappointing things, lots of good things. I can pretty much tell you that John is going to say that the Democratic debate wasn't worth talking about, but the truth is I'm going to be taking a different tack with that. It's not that I am supporting Hillary or Bernie, but I'll tell you what, I'm tired of the schoolyard fights that are going on, and I can't hardly wait. At least they're talking about issues, for Pete's sake. Whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them or what their policies might be, at least you're hearing about issues. You're not seeing this infantile fight going on. And we're with our own John Matthews on the Conservative Syndicate. Hey, John, how you doing, buddy?
All right. How are you doing?
I'm good. Listen, is he with us this week?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been kind of a wild week last week, has it not?
Oh, man, I want to tell you, absolutely. You know what? I was wondering, look out your window and let me know if the animals are lining up 2 by 2. It's really coming down here.
Well, I noticed most of the elephants are missing.
So are the jackasses. Yeah. Hey, listen, is Joe with us this week?
No, he is getting better though. He actually returned to work today, so he's taking steps in the right direction. But I just don't want to push him. Like I said, he's pretty weak. He talked to me this morning, and he's back at work, but he's kind of like, yeah, just one step at a time kind of thing. This thing really took him down. So let's hope maybe sometime midweek or next week he might be able to get back here.
Well, the one thing we need him to get well and not push himself. So, it doesn't do any good for him to come back too soon and put himself in a frazzle and get a recurring infection.
Yeah, I think that's what caused his problem. Was he had the staph infection about 3 months ago, and he pushed himself when he came back, and it came back. It just created other problems. So I just take your time. I can do this for the time being. He'll pay me back when I go on vacation this year.
Yes, he will. Hey, listen, are you as fed up with the GOP guys having these little schoolyard kitty fights as I am? You know what I mean? It's not like I learned anything drastic from the Democratic debate. I watched it because I felt like I had to, but and I don't necessarily agree with them. But here's the thing: I do like the idea that at least they're talking about policies, whether you agree with them or not. They're talking about issues, whether you agree with them or not. I'm really tired of these guys slamming each other, needlessly and falsely, and I think you're just hurting the party. And I think we're seeing the beginning of the end of the GOP.
Yeah, I think we're well into it. I think the GOP right now, and as far as I can tell, is on life support, and it's just a matter of who's going to be the one that pulls the plug. I'm not sure how it's going to come down. I'm not sure whether it's going to be let's do a brokered convention and just throw the will of the people completely out in the open and let everybody know we don't care, or whether they try to float some kind of third party candidacy out there. There's talk that some of the elitists are talking about creating a new Republican Party, that kind of stuff. So Isn't that funny? That's what we used to hear about us right-wing extremists.
Yep, that's you know what, and we've come full circle. I was telling some friends the other day, I've actually become embarrassed and reluctant to admit that I'm a Republican. And the truth is, John, that now if I had a choice, if I could vote in the primary, in some states you can, as an independent. In California you can't, but if I could vote in the primary for whoever I wanted, I'd be an independent, I think.
Well, last 2 years ago, I left the Republican Party and I registered as an independent. And that was hard for me to do because I don't like independents for the most part any more than I like liberals, because independents, in my opinion, are people that sit on the sidelines and watch everything happen and tell us how screwed up we are.
Yeah.
And, so that's kind of a very fickle group of people, but I couldn't see where else to go. But then,
well, I've always looked at it, John, as, and maybe I've got a wrong impression. I've always looked at it and I haven't looked at it that closely. I always thought that the reason that they were an independent party is that they were free to vote for whomever they chose. But that's really not the case. They run their own candidate that never has a chance to win. It just seems to me that what we need is a party, a different party, almost like they have in other states, where you have the ability to say, I want a full ballot, and I want to be able to vote for a Republican or a Democrat or an independent or a purple people leader. I want to be able to vote for whoever the heck I want to vote as an independent voter.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, that is the logic that everybody uses and why people register as independents, or at least that's their argument.
But it's not fact, is it?
Most of my discussions with independents, what it gives them the license to do is to vote one way or the other and then blame the other side when they lose.
But they can't vote in a primary. They have to wait for the general, right?
Yeah, I mean, when Obama's in office, everybody's talking about, how bad Obama is. And when Bush was in office, everybody's talking about how bad Bush is. And the independents are the ones that sit there and say, yeah, see, we told you these guys are idiots. I call them, like Monday morning quarterbacks.
Yeah. Yeah,
they are. So,
well, I just think that it's wrong that such a large segment of our population doesn't have the ability to pick who is going to run in the general from all the different parties. You know what I mean? The fact that I would like to be an independent, it doesn't mean that I would. Let me put it another way. My grandparents and my parents were diehard Democrats. I mean, you know what? You could be a serial killer, but if you were a Democrat, you got their vote. They went right down the line, right? When my mom found out that I voted for Richard Nixon for president, she didn't talk to me for 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Well, my mom still hasn't talked to me. My family was the same way. My family deified the Kennedys. John Kennedy Jr. was the resurrection of Jesus Christ in our family. And so that was a big deal when I was the first, and I think up to this date, the only conservative in my family. And a lot of it just to do, my brothers and sisters, just basically out of ignorance. Just stay, what the family is. It's like being Catholic. Oh, I was born Catholic. I guess I'm Catholic. But I was the first one to break away from that mold. My father later came around. My father later turned into a Republican and was a pretty staunch supporter of Ronald Reagan. So that was because of me. We used to sit in a room and argue for hours about it. But what I would say is that what I did last year was I registered in the Conservative Party USA. There's actually a bona fide conservative party that's out. And so I signed up with them, and I've been very pleased with what these people are doing in terms of getting the word out and working towards getting a solid conservative candidate right now. The fact that they endorsed Ted Cruz is also a big point for me.
So, John, if you are a member of the Conservative Party as opposed to the Republican Party, do you get to vote in a primary for the Conservatives?
No, I would have to vote for the Conservative Party candidate in a close primary. But in California now we have open primaries, so that doesn't make any difference anymore.
Explain that to me.
Huh?
Explain that to me. What do you mean an open primary?
Well, in California, we now have open primaries. So it's not a matter of voting for a Republican or a conservative or a Democrat. We embrace the open primary process. That's how Jerry Brown won.
So then all of the candidates, Republican, Democrat, conservative, independent, they're all listed on the primary ballot?
Yes.
And you don't get a special ballot because you're one or the other?
No, it's like if you went to.
So I could be an independent and still be able to vote exactly the way that I was saying, right?
Right. That's what happened in the Jerry Brown election here. We had then that's how Jerry Brown won. And what happened was. And we're seeing it right now. See, this is what you're saying feeds right into a theory that I have right now about what's going on with Donald Trump. But what happened in California here was that the top two people on the ballot are the ones that end up facing off against each other, whether they be Democrats, Republicans, or whatever. Mm-hmm. what happened was a lot of Democrats voted for Neil Kashkari in order to knock Tim Donnelly out because Tim Donnelly was the conservative candidate. And they wanted a more moderate candidate. And so what they did was a lot of Democrats went to the polls and voted for Neil Kashkari. He overcame a 23-point margin in that election and ended up beating Tim Donnelly by 3 points, faced off against Jerry Brown, and got wiped out.
Well, you know what? We've got to take a break, and I know that you do too. When we come back, let's talk about that theory you have about Donald Trump in the primary. We'll be right back with John Matthews after these brief messages. Do not go away. Let's see if I can hit the right button. Anyway, here we go.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-77.
And we're back with John Matthews in the Conservative Syndicate Corner. Hey, John, I'm glad to have you back. Timing was perfect.
Yeah, we're doing good over here. You wanted to talk about this. What was it? The situation.
Well, you had a theory about the primaries in Donald Trump, and I wanted you to expand on that.
Well, one of the things I saw last week, and I've been looking for this, and I wasn't sure how it was going to materialize. But the debate last week, in the GOP debate, with all the noise and all the nonsense that was going on, I did see some cracks in the facade of Donald Trump. And it has a lot to do with some of the things that are going on. The unwillingness of the media to show us how many business failures Donald Trump has actually had. The situation with the Trump University, and these things kind of brought something out to me. And so I started over the course of this weekend, or since that debate, we've had like 5 states now, 6 states if you count Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. Their primaries and caucuses. And what we noticed was that Trump and Cruz split 2 of them. And I think Trump ended up taking Louisiana. And I think.
Well, let me interrupt you because aren't the analysts saying that Trump might not have won if it weren't for the early voting? If they had waited until after the debate when Rubio had actually castigated him and so did Cruz, that he might not have won the 2 states that he did?
Well, see, this is where I began to see a pattern here. What happened in Louisiana was right half an hour after the polls closed in Louisiana. The media called the race for Trump, and they were basing the results on absentee ballots. And then all of a sudden, they started counting all these districts, and within a few hours, Cruz moved up to 4% within Trump. Trump had a 25% lead when the polls closed with absentee ballots, but then he only ended up winning Louisiana by less than 4 points. And then what they found out was people going to the polls were voting for Cruz and not Trump. So I started thinking about this, and one of the things that we have known for quite a while now, especially on the Democrat side, is that absentee ballots play an important part in their voting process. And we had instances in the last election with some states, some campaigns out there actually mailing in absentee ballots. Like in Colorado, they went down to Colorado University, dug through the dumpsters, found discarded absentee ballots of students that were no longer there, and mailed those in for their candidate, and they got caught doing it. So we have stuff like this going on. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking, being as the fact that when we have these open primaries that we're talking about, and could we have the same situation we had here in California, where we have actually Democrats going into a Republican establishment, or going in and voting for the Republican for the purpose of putting Trump up in front of Hillary, thinking, is the tactic similar to what they did with Thad Cochran down in Mississippi when he was losing? They went out and they solicited Democrat voters to show up at the polls. And so Thad Cochran was able to take the election by an upsurge in Democrats voting and not Republicans. So the thought drifted across my mind, could that be what's happening here? Do the Democrats want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump ballot out there in the general election, because it would allow Hillary Clinton to use what she does best, that is the race card and the gender card and everything else, because that's all she's got to use in the campaign. So with that thought process out there, I thought, I wonder what the possibility is that either the Democrats are doing this through their organizations, or the Republicans are doing it. I'm not really sure.
Well, something else that I noticed too, and I was paying attention to, and because I've watched all the debates, and I'm getting sick of watching these debates, but I watch them all, and I'm noticing a couple of things. One, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, those guys are really good debaters. Now, when you watch Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, they're also really, really good debaters. Now that we've got the field down to 4 in the GOP, Donald Trump he's not much of a debater. He just makes a noise and he grunts and says the same things. He is not really a debater with these guys.
Yeah, well, I think Cruz, to some degree, it's hard for me to argue that, because whatever he's been doing has been working. Trump won 3 states over the weekend. Cruz won 2, but they obtained exactly the same number of delegates.
Yeah.
And we looking now today, Trump was leading last week, had 126 delegates over Cruz. Today he's only got 82 over Cruz. So whatever Cruz is doing, it is working. The other aspect of this that goes along with what I'm just saying is the fact that we're coming into primaries now that are closed primaries. That means the Democrats can't cross the aisle and vote for a Republican.
Gotcha.
So in these states where we're having closed primaries, Cruz is walking away with them. And so now we have that dynamic that we have to look at. And if this upsurge keeps going, I think what scares the GOP elites right now, much more than having Trump up there, is having Cruz be the guy that ends up winning, because then they're really in trouble. They can't just toss him aside.
Yeah, they are. And, watching all the pundits and things that I'm seeing, if Rubio doesn't win Florida, and if Kasich doesn't win Ohio, then the establishment is in a world of hurt.
Well, the argument with that is that if Rubio doesn't win Florida, what we'll see happen is that maybe Rubio and Cruz form a ticket, and then go after Trump. I don't know why they would do that. If Rubio can't carry his own state, why have him on the ballot?
Yeah, but I was thinking if Rubio were to, since Rubio doesn't appear to have a chance in hell to get anything here, if Rubio would back out now and fall behind Cruz could pick up those Florida delegates.
Well, that could happen, and it's all a matter of whatever deal Rubio made with the GOP elites. I think the plan was, Rubio turned into this junkyard dog over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I think the reason being is, my speculation is that the GOP elite said, you help us take down Trump and we'll bring you in the broker convention. We'll make you the nominee. So if that's the case, then Rubio's not going to do anything to help Ted Cruz, because it would actually countermand what this strategy is. If that is the strategy. Kasich, on the other hand, is really, I think, something that's interesting for me to watch. He made the analogy today that people are looking at him. He says it's like Pepsi and Coke, and then Kasich. And Kasich is kind of like this new guy, interesting, but I'd rather stay with the standard brand.
Yeah.
Thinking, no, Kasich is like Diet Coke. It's the promise that because it tastes so bad, it's good for you, but it's really not.
Yeah, I heard that. Hey, listen, my friend. Let's see. We got about a minute and a half to go. What do you want to hammer home for a minute and a half?
Okay. Well, just first of all, just have your people come to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. Check us out. You can hear our archives. I know you guys all listen to Bob during the day, and you can listen to us later on. And just come to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and just really pay attention here what's happening during the course of this week. We've got another primary, I believe, coming up, I think a couple states tomorrow, but then March 15th, the big one. This is winner take all.
Yeah.
These states. And so what happens, and most of them are closed primaries. So we may see a real change in the dynamic here. And I'm just waiting to see a Trump meltdown. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. You know what? I'll tell you what, if nothing else, this is an exciting thing to watch. Other than I'm disappointed at the infancy of what I see on stage for the GOP, the way they're doing it. But I guess I understand why they're doing it the way they're doing it. They're trying to ruffle Trump's feathers so that he implodes. But I don't know that that's going to happen. I think they got to do it. They got to do it at the ballot box.
Well, the exciting thing is that we are having record turnouts for the Republican Party. Yeah. And it's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And the alternate is true, for the Democrats. They're not going to the polls.
Yeah. So, that in and of itself, I think is worth all the noise. If we're having double the number of people, Republicans showing up at the polls this year, and half the people showing up for the Democrats. So it's going to be real interesting when we get down to June and July.
Yep. All right, buddy. Hey, listen, I'll talk to you on Friday. Have a great week. And if you talk to Joe, please tell him we're asking for him.
Okay. You too.
All right, buddy. Now, the rest of you stay with us. When we come up next, we're going to be with John Hanson, that little old wine drinker. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
When they ask who's a fool in the corner crying, I say, a little old wine drinker me.
And now, from the middle of a vineyard somewhere, a man who's never met a grape he couldn't cuddle up to, our resident advanced sommelier, John Hanson.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:01 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 54 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, I say it's sunny. You know, the animals are lining up 2 by 2 outside the studio window here. It's raining cats and dogs. But if you're listening to us on our global network and you're in Paris, France, it's 34 degrees and partly cloudy. And if you're in Rome, Italy, 45 degrees and partly cloudy. But I'll tell you where there's sunshine all the time. That little old wine drinker, John Hanson. Hey, John, how you doing, buddy?
Great, buddy. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I owe you such a thank you. I had a dinner here Saturday night for my son and his fiancée. Just a way of saying thank you for helping us get all moved in and settled and all that kind of stuff. And so I served the Charles Smith wines. I made a nice scallop actually we had shrimp cocktails at the very beginning, and with the shrimp cocktails I served the Kung Fu Girl, the Riesling, and boy, I mean, it was really good. And then after that we had a scallops that I made a nice sauce. I've done that before. I actually stole that thought from the Napa Rose, and I served it over whipped potatoes that I had made. And I served Eve the Chardonnay with that, and then I made a filet Oscar. So that was the filet, perfectly cooked filet with asparagus and Alaskan king crab with a béarnaise sauce over the top. And with that, I served the Chateau Smith, and I want to tell you, it was fantastic.
I was going to ask you. The first question I was going to ask you: did you get your Chateau Smith?
I did.
Awesome. It's funny because, not to praise Charles Smith all the time, but, that Kung Fu Girl at $10 a bottle, say $9.99 or something, I think you get for. Wine Inspector gave it 91. Robert Parker gave it 90. His Boom Boom, you had the Boom Boom, right? The Syrah, did you have that?
Yeah.
Wine Inspector gave that 90 points. The Charles Smith Cab, Robert Parker rated it at 90. The Eve Chardonnay was Spectator, I think, 90. And then, of course, the Royal City, which is his Syrah. Mm-hmm. Robert Parker gave it 99, and Vintage Magazine gave it 95.
Royal City, I hadn't heard about that one. You didn't send me.
Sold out, buddy.
Oh.
Sold out. That's one of the. He has like a few wines that comes out that's low allocation, that just goes. As I said, Parker gave it a 99.
Wow.
Sold out. Now, the Royal City is a little more expensive. Mm-hmm. That's up there. It's like about $200 a bottle, but amazing. And he just does these incredible wines at good prices, but he has some amazing wines. As I said, 99-point wine from Parker. almost 100-point wine, and just incredible stuff. His high-end stuff is amazing, but his low-end stuff, he doesn't make a bad bottle of wine. His heart and soul goes into every wine, and I'm glad you went out and got that. And what amazing. Just amazing wines out there.
Well, for our listeners who are looking for it, first of all, you have to know that you can't just go to a Charles Smith section. You got to go to the Syrah section. You've got to go to the Cab section. You've got to go to the Chardonnay section and the Riesling section, because that's what they have separated that way, which is a normal way for it to go. I originally tried to buy it and got some bottles at Bevmo, but they didn't have much, and they didn't have the full selection. So then I wound up going over to Total Wines, and they had it all.
Yeah, and as I said, I mean, it doesn't. Besides, of course, the Chateau Smith has his name on it.
Yeah,
but they're fun labels. You have that Velvet Devil that has a little pitchfork on it. That's his Merlot. Kung Fu Girls is Asian girl in like a little karate uniform, then you got the Boom Boom, which looks like a bomb, and then the Vino, which is their Pinot Gris, which is delightful too.
Yeah.
Like at $10 a bottle, $12 a bottle, if you like Pinot Gris. Charles Smith, Chateau Smith, that's a little more classier label, just says Chateau Smith, kind of like Bordeaux looking. But the Eve, of course, is the apple, Adam and Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And the Royal City, if you can find it, it's an expensive one. That's his high-end wine to his section. It has a crown on it, and it's called Royal City. And just fun labels, but you can't. If you see Charles Smith made this wine, it's going to be an incredible bottle.
Yeah, it's all about what's in the bottle, not on the outside.
Oh. And no matter what price it is, if it's $10 a bottle or $100 and some dollars a bottle, it's going to be amazing. You're going to get your money's worth.
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, when I was telling my son Bob about it, and because he was going to bring some wine over, I said, "No, listen, I've got some stuff that John Hanson recommended." He said, "Oh, that's enough for me." And so we're drinking it, and then I began to tell him this thing, and he couldn't believe it because I had him drinking it before I told him what it cost, and he couldn't believe it.
Well, I've been to Bob's Little Cellar. When we did your anniversary party at Bob's house there, he was going, take what you want. So we were drinking some nice wines over at his house. So, he has a nice little cellar there too.
Oh, he's got a nice palate. He knows what he likes.
Oh, he does. He's a chip off the old block, I say that.
So, John, did you do anything interesting over the weekend? Any food places? Any that you shared wine with?
Well, actually, I switched. I had switched my bank account, so all my life insurance things that were just taken out of my regular bank account, I had to switch them over to my new. I went with Chase. I got out of that credit union because it was just too many.
Yeah.
I have to say, Bob, the reason why I bank is convenience, and it was just a big inconvenience. I said, this is ridiculous. So
you shared
right
with
down by my house, and I just forget it. So I didn't meet up with Ron Gill, and of course we had lunch at the White House. And everybody was there. Savano, Franco, Bruno even came to the table and said hi. And Frank, of course, said, "Hey, I saw Bob for Valentine's Day. Tell him hi again." So they all wanted to say hi to you, of course. But we had a great lunch there. Where can you go and get a Gramier souffle for lunch?
Yeah.
It's the only place I know of that you can go any lunch you want, and it's always there.
Well, you know what? Not just lunch. I mean, most places they don't serve it for dinner either.
Well, it's a lost art. You don't see those things anymore. And it's funny because when we talked about my Vegas trip, Michael's, I mean, would they still do the tableside, the Caesar, the boneless sole, the steak Diane? Everything's still there at Michael's. It's just a lost art. You don't see souffles and tableside service anymore.
But that's what makes it so god awful special.
It does. It does. I mean, because it does take time, and it's worth it. There's nothing like a freshly made Caesar salad. I mean, from scratch, and crushing up the fresh garlic cloves, muddling up the fresh anchovies. I mean, that's the secret. I mean,
they used to make the steak tartare right there at the table too.
Oh, yeah, amazing. Well, we used to go to Pier 17, is it?
No, a Newport 17.
Newport 17.
You know what? I've had steak tartare all over the world, and I swear that they're no longer open. They're closed, but I still think that they serve the best steak tartare I ever ate.
Oh, yeah, and that's, it's, gosh, if you can find a restaurant that does that, just hang on to it, because it is a lost art, because now it's just turning and burning, getting people in, getting out, making the money. It's all about the dollar profit. It's not about the dining experience anymore. It's a shame. When you find a restaurant where it's about the dining experience.
That's you know what, you actually work at a place that is exactly that. It is a dining experience. People do not go to the Napa Rose to eat; they go there to dine.
Exactly. And starting April 1st, our counters, we have what we call the chef's table up there, and usually about 95% of the people they'll do the chef's table, basically where the chef will come over and ask you a few questions. If there's any dietary restrictions, food allergies, severe likes, dislikes. If he was to do perhaps like a beef dish, how would you like prepared? A few other questions where you're looking for something in particular or so they make sure that's one of the courses on there. And it is a lot of fun. And because the chef's cooking for you, you have that surprise element, because they're not going to tell you what it is until they put it in front of you. Then they totally describe each dish, and it's like, wow, I saw it, made it, right in front of me, and then the chef puts it down and tells you all about that dish, how he came out with it, and you actually interact with the culinary crew too. The cooks there sit there and talk to you. You can ask them questions. You're watching them work, and you say, hey, what are you doing? This is for this or that.
Does it make it a little easier to steal the recipe?
Well, they're looking at it, I guess, but the chef never, Bob, he never disclosed 100% of what's in there.
Yeah.
As I said, your scallops, I've had your scallops before, which are amazing, and you kind of, but you always put your own little thing in there as well. But Raina went and she got the book, Chef Sutton's book, on how to make the scallops, and she made scallops, but they just aren't the same. It's like, I know he's not disclosing everything in there.
No, he's not. You know what? It's like a magician, right? The magician, they never tell you.
Always a few secrets they hold back. Basically, they give you the basics. That's what it is, and there's just a few things they're not going to tell you, so you can't completely duplicate that experience. But as I say, starting April 1st, the kitchen counter is just going to be the chef's table, so you can't order off the menu. You got to go there and have the chef's table, which I don't know why anybody would sit up there and not do that. It's all right there. It doesn't make any sense anyway. That's why they're doing it, because once in a while people come and just sit there and just have like a salad and an entree. It's like,
John, some of the best evenings I've ever had is when I've gone to restaurants with a reputation and said, I want you to tell the chef to feed me. There are no restrictions other than coconut. You just tell I don't care what he sends me, as long as there's no coconut in it.
Exactly.
I just feed me. I don't want to even know what's coming.
Oh, even, especially if you have confidence in the server, it's like, how long have you worked here? 10 years? You know what's good.
Oh, John.
Give me what's good,
John, when was the last time you ever saw me look at a menu?
When you come to my restaurants, I don't think you have.
No, never have. Not especially if you're there.
I tell you the last time you looked at the menu. I gave you a menu because it was hilarious. And do we have time to tell this quick little story? Because you're going to love it.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes, good. Bob used to come in, I would say about at least 3 lunches a day, and at least once a week for dinner, if not twice a week for dinner. And we used to do a special little shrimp dish for you that the chef used to do. And I came up to you one day and said that, that shrimp dish that you bring in all these people and they try it, it's becoming so popular that we put it on the menu. And you looked at me and said, well, you can tell the chef that I'm going to order something else because I like to go off the menu. And I said, well, here, Mr. Cardoza, here's your menu. And you looked at the menu and said shrimp Cardoza on it. You said, I'll have the shrimp Cardoza.
Yeah, that's a true story. You guys really surprised me. You took good care of me there.
Yeah, it was. So instead of you say, I got the shrimp dish, we now just hand the menu and it just says shrimp Cardoza on there. And it's like, we're going to have, Bob, the shrimp Cardoza, of course. So,
Yeah, and that's the and then I brought more people because I wanted them to see that on the menu.
Exactly.
You know what? Talking about interesting stories. Tell the story about when Mark. I don't want to use his last name. When Mark and Peggy were sitting at Cala at my table, and I showed up with my good friend Don Armstrong. Don, tell that story.
Which one are you referring to?
The one where I wanted to buy their lunch.
Okay, and then what happened was then a case of wine came that way?
A very special bottle came my way.
Well, there was a time where. Okay,
let me help you out.
I tell you,
these good friends of mine. I had a table that was mine. It was reserved for me. It was safe for me. It was always there. And generally the restaurant, and John knew I was coming. Well, when I walked in this one day, kind of unannounced, there was good friends of mine that were actually sitting at my table, and John felt a little uncomfortable. I said, "Not a problem, John. Sit me at this other table." And he does, and I'm with another friend of mine. I'm sitting there, and I'm saying, "By the way, John, I want to pick up Mark's lunch." But just let him know that I'm buying his lunch today. And so we're sitting there, and you come over with a bottle of Mouton Cadet. No, was it Mouton Cadet or was it Chateauneuf de Pape? No, it was it was Rothschild. You brought a bottle of Rothschild.
The Mouton Rothschild.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there and I was just blown away. I couldn't believe that they would do that. I mean, that bottle of wine cost more than 5 of those lunches or more. And I was just thrilled. And, and then, at the end of the meal, it's explained to me that, that's okay. They put it on the bill that I paid for.
That's true. Oh God, you two! I tell you, especially you and Mark. I mean, like you would buy a bottle and he'll turn over a case of wine as well, or something like that. It was like who's going to outdo who?
Yeah, it was great guy. What great times that we had there at Cala's. The wine, and you know what? I've never been to wine tasting dinners like they had at Cala's either. They were intimate, they were magnificent. You had great vintners that came in, and winemakers and representatives.
Well, remember Thursdays? You used to come over Thursdays when we had the vendors.
Oh, you used to call me at my office. My office was right across the street. And you used to call me at my office and say, "Hey, Bob, the wine purveyors are coming in this afternoon. You want to join us?" I'd clear my schedule, walk across the street, and you and me and whoever was presenting wines, man, it was just phenomenal. That was great.
Well, and it always ended up after the tasting. Dinner was after that because they left right when we opened. And it's like, well, might as well stay for dinner. So it was probably like a 5-hour experience for you.
Yeah, it was
starting at I think like 4 and then ending like 7, 8 o'clock by the time you get out there.
It was fantastic. It was just fantastic. Hey, John, we're going to take actually, I've got 2 minutes. I got a minute and a half. You want me to go ahead for a break now so we can cover it on the next segment, or you got something for a minute and a half?
Yeah. Next segment, and I was a little apprehensive of doing this segment because our good friend Franco, I wanted him maybe to join us because we're going to continue Wines of the World, and we're going to talk about Italy. So Wines of Italy. So we're going to go without Franco, but we'll mention Franco during the next segment.
Okay, sounds great. We're going to be right back with our own little old wine drinker, John Hanson, after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:21 p.m. Pacific time, down to 47 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 42 degrees. I said sunny California, but it's really not. It's raining outside, but it's beautiful. We need the rain, and we're with our own John Hansen, that little old wine drinker. Hey, John, you wanted to talk about Italian wines today, right?
Yeah, I want to continue with our little venture of wines of the world.
Yeah.
When people go into wine stores or restaurants, how do I know if a certain wine from a different country is good? So we touched on France. We did the major wine regions, Bordeaux, Burgundy, the Rhone Valley, Loire Valley, and so forth. And last week we did Spain. This week, of course, I figure we'll talk about the Italian wines. And Italy, of course, they're number 2 in production in the world, of course, only behind France. So there's a lot of Italian wines out there, and there's 20 wine regions in Italy. We're not going to talk about all of them. We'll just hit the main ones today. But back in the 60s and 70s, into the 80s, you really didn't know what Italian wines you were getting. There was really, the laws were kind of lackadaisical, if you will. 63 was the first time they introduced the DOC system, where you had table wines, or DOC, the highest wines rated that you can get in Italy. But in 92, they amended the law, and you see little governor laws around as well to make sure, like in Chianti, you see what they call the Gallo Negro, little black rooster on the bottle, which assures you that this is a good quality wine. And in the last 20 years or so, the Italian wines are just amazing now, and they finally got their act straight, and you really know what you're getting now. But as I said, there's 20 wine regions in Italy. Probably my favorite, maybe one of the, at least in the top 2, is Piemonte.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, the main grape in Piemonte is Nebbiolo. Now, it's also known as Spana. If you see a label that's like, and you see Spana, that's actually Nebbiolo. Okay, and of course the two main the two main wines there, Barbaresco and Barolo. They're known as the king and queen of Piemonte. Barbaresco the queen because it's a little more passive. Barbarolo the king because it's a little more massive, if you will.
I love them both.
Oh my God, yes. Two incredible wines. I tell you, the single vineyard guy is probably my favorite wines of Italy. Just amazing wines. You also have Barbera, which is a fun wine. It's named after the grape. Barbera is the grape. My wife's probably favorite wine is Moscato d'Asti. It's light, fruity, sweet, only has about 6% alcohol in it, but you have that effervescence. And it is the cuvée closed method or Chamant method, where they actually do the second fermentation in a big vat. So the bubble's a little bigger. It's not as expressive as champagne, where you get all those bubbles coming at you. It's just a little effervescence on the wine. Now, right next to d'Asti is d'Acqui. And that's known for Brichetto d'Acqui, which is the same wine basically, but instead of the Moscato grape, which is a white grape, it's the Brichetto, which is a red grape. So it's just light, about 6-7% alcohol, on the sweeter side with just this little effervescence, but a red grape. So it's a red sparkling wine, just a delightful wine too, especially for desserts and so forth. But you also have the Gavi d'Agave. One of my favorite whites come from Piemonte as well, and that's Corteza grape. Great bottle of wine, especially with fish, entrees, and so forth. Let's go to Lombardy. I want to mention Lombardy because our good friend Franco is from Lombardy, and his favorite bubbly is Franciacorta. Great wine, sparkling wine. The grapes are Pinot Blanco, Pinot Nero, and Chardonnay. And I tell you, besides champagne, for a different country for sparkling, Franciacorta is probably my second favorite sparkling wine. The Veneto. You have, of course, Valpolicella. Valpolicella, the main grape in Valpolicella is Covina. You also have Molinata and Ravenello. You have also Bodolino, which is the same blend basically, but there's also Negara as a fourth grape they blend in there. But also, the main reason why I want to bring up the Veneto, Bob, is Prosecco.
Oh, I like Prosecco.
Oh, yeah, gosh. I mean, what about the rooftop in Venice?
Yep.
Okay. Prosecco, another incredible bubbly wine, named after the grape. That's the grape Prosecco. But what a great little, and we can go on about stories about Prosecco, the memories we had on the gondola going down let's not get off on a tangent here.
You know what? It's interesting, and I know that I'm interrupting you because you just got my mind going. It's when you started talking about the rooftop, you started talking about the Prosecco, the wine and cheese, and the Grand Canal, and the gondola rides. I can in my mind's picture. I mean, I can just see it right now. I just like we're right there.
Well, great times, great moments, good friends, and that wine will always be special to us, I think. Prosecco is just an amazing wine. You also have Soave. Now, I don't know, remember Soave?
Oh, yeah, I like Soave. I like Soave.
Well, I tell you now, Soave is a lot better. The Soave Bolas, that you used to see years ago, 30, 40 years ago.
It wasn't so good.
It wasn't that great of a wine. But now, go out and get a bottle of Soave. Garganga is the grape. There's also a little Chardonnay and Trebbiano in there, too. Mm-hmm. But another great white wine, just incredible white wine. Probably Piemonte, the other one, Tuscany, are the two main wine regions in Italy, of course. Now, Tuscany, of course, Chianti. That's what you think of. Sangiovese is the main grape. But you also have what they call Super Tuscans. And, of course, I'm going to throw a name out there, Salsiccaia. Probably the main wine out of Italy. Now, we were mentioning table wines, DOCG, DOC, DOCG. Mm-hmm. There's also another called IGT, and that basically just covers everything. And IGT can be the most incredible wine you had out of it, like a Sassicaia, and it can be just a table wine. It's under the IGT label. But they came up with IGT because Sassicaia is also Cabernet and Merlot with the Sangiovese. And since Cabernet and Merlot is a grape that's indigenous to Italy, they couldn't classify it as DOCG. So they came up with the IGT label. And actually, in '94, Bulgari, this is Bulgari on it. It's one of those super Tuscanies like the Sassicaias and so forth. But as I say, I'm still biased towards those single vineyard Barbaros from Gaia.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing wines. But also you have the Brunello the Montepulciano, incredible, and that's a Sangiovese clone. That's kind of like a Chianti Reserve to me. I mean, it's Chiantis are amazing, but Brunellos are so much better, I think.
Yeah. You know what? And that would be my preference too. I've never, given choices, I wouldn't generally order a Chianti. I've just not really had great experiences with them, but Brunello, I wouldn't even hesitate.
Oh, and we can spend days just on Chianti. You have 8 sub-regions of Chianti. Yeah. Mostly Sangiovese, but you can put a number of different grapes in Chianti, and there are some great Chiantis. Like I'll take a Brunello over any Chianti out there. It's just I think to me it's like a Chianti Reserve as well. Another area, of course, Umbria, and Umbria for Oviedo, which is mostly Trebbiano, another great white wine, one of my favorite wines. But also, Bob, probably our favorite wine, not because it's a good wine, just to say it, is Segretini di Montefalco. Just to say Montefalco on the airways is a lot of fun. Not the best wine in the world, but just love the name. Another region, which is probably my third favorite region, is Campania. And Franco and I, we always talk about Campania because it has that rocky soil, and he has this Aniello varietal at the White House that he loves. He swears it's better than Tarazi. But there's 3 DOCGs from Campania. You have Greco di Tuffa, Tarazi, and of course Fiano di Avellino. Fiano was elevated up to DOCG status back in 2003, and I tell you, probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, white wine out of Italy. And if you got a nice fish dish, go out and get a Fiano di Avellino. It is just amazing. You also have a Puglia, which is the boot of Italy, and that I want to bring that up because that's where Primitivo, the great Primitivo's from, and that's what happened back in the 60s and 70s. They used to just grow a bunch of this Primitivo and ship it up to like Piemonte, Tuscany, and just put it in bottles, and you had no idea if you were drinking Primitivo or Sangiovese or Nebbiolo or whatever. There was no laws there, but now they really concentrated on the laws and the quality of wines in Italy. And right now, I mean, you can go out and confidently buy a great bottle of wine. You know it's going to be good. But there's 2 islands right off the coast of Italy. There, of course, Sicily.
Well, you know what? Sicily, doesn't even admit to being Italian. You're Sicilian. You're not
exactly.
Italian. And even the food is different. It's almost got like a little African flavor to it. The food.
Oh, and the pizza is different too.
The what?
The Sicilians, the pizza is different too.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
it's totally different, and they have some really great upcoming wines as well. But Sicily's known for Marsala. It's a sweeter wine. I tell you.
Oh yeah, I cook. I don't drink. I don't drink it, but I cook with it. I love to cook with the Marsala.
I tell you, it's kind of it's along the thing. It's a wine that you like as a digestive or so after dinner. But I tell you, Marsala sauce. And that's what the French did. The French took that wine and said, I'm going to cook with it. And my gosh, the chicken Marsala, one of my favorite dishes I make at home. One of Raina's favorite dishes, too, is it gives a little sweetness to the sauce. And great sauce. Sardinia is another little island just off Lanima by Umbria, south of Tuscany. And Vermentino's is a grape there. And there's some, I tell you, Vermentino, another great bottle of white. And Italy, I tell you, is for like a nice fish dish. Some of the Italian whites, Vermentino, Fiano, Gave the Gave, even Pinot Grigio. just amazing wines for fish dishes. Always love to pair Italian whites with fish dishes, and
well, that's a good. That's a good tip.
Well, you figure, it's a boot, and Italy's basically, besides France, bordering France up there and so forth, is surrounded by water. So their diet, you see a lot of, of course, you got pasta and pizza and so forth, but I tell you, fish is a big staple in their diet, and I tell you, those whites go so magnificently well with some nice fish dishes there. Chardonnays, they can be flabby. It's hard when they over oak Chardonnays and so forth. And it's a bigger wine, kind of like the Southern Rhone wines. They're heavy on the mouthfeel. It's hard to pair these whites with fish dishes. But I tell you, Italy, my gosh, there's some great wines, different flavors too coming off those, and with a nice fish dish. Oh my God, I think the best wines in the world. You're doing a fish dish night, go out and get a Fiano or Vermentino or Pinot Grigio or whatever, and you'd be very happy, I assure you. But do I have time for the pick of the week?
We do. We've got a couple minutes.
Okay, good. Actually, I'm going to do two. I found two wines that I had, and I probably got them. But
wait a minute! You didn't make a trip to Costco, did you?
I did. I searched around. When I see a new wine come out, I buy it and try it. And it said, you cannot beat Costco at the price. And every time I tell the story where, when I was a wine buyer at Cala, I was paying $19 a bottle. I went to Costco and it was $18 a bottle. It's like, well, Southern Wine sold Costco that wine, and they're selling me the wine. How are they selling it $1 cheaper than what I'm buying it from Southern Wine and Spirits? So they only raise their prices up, I think, 3% or something like that. But then they buy pallets, so they get the best deal. So, half the time, as I said, if you're a wine buyer, you're walking to Costco, and it's cheaper than what you're buying it for. And it's like, how can I sell this wine when Costco's selling it cheaper than what I'm buying it for? So, it's crazy. So the best deals are at Costco. But Liparita Cabernet 2012, $38 a bottle. We just enjoyed it immensely the other day.
Okay, what Cabernet was it?
Liparita. Mm-hmm. And also the Beringer, the Quantum. And I mentioned that.
Well, you know what? I like Beringer wines. You get some of their private reserves, their library reserves. Beringer wines, they make some fantastic wine.
The Private Reserve cab has always been one of the top cabs. They're not up there with the Harlans and the Cogans anymore. But gosh, 30 years ago, they were one of the top cabs coming out there. They're still a good cab. They're not $600 a bottle. They're maybe close to $100 a bottle for a reserve cab, a little over $100 a bottle, but still a great bottle of wine. And Beringer still makes a great product, and at more of a reasonable price as well. So, go out there and try the Quantum for $30-some. Great bottle of wine. I was impressed. Where you can find wines, they have three great cabs there: the Providence, the Liparita, and the Beringer Quantum for around $30 a bottle. All three are just magnificent.
Well, John, next time, what are you going to do on next Monday? What are you going to tell us about? We got 30 seconds.
We'll probably go to another wine area.
Hey, let's go to Australia or South Africa or let's get out of the United States.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely be out in the United States. It'd be either Australia or South Africa or maybe even Germany or something.
Yeah, Germany's got some great wines. All right, buddy. Hey, have yourself a great week. Stay safe, stay dry. Give that lovely wife of yours a big hug and kiss from me. I miss you guys. And you know what? Make everybody's life better just because you're in it. That's what you do. Actually, that's what you do best.
All right, thank you. You do the same for Marlene, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Now, the rest of you folks, do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to have the birthdays for today, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. Tell you all about them in just a moment.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this: the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:42 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 47 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's going on its way down to 43 degrees. And I say it's sunny. It's a kind of liquid sunshine today. It's been raining yesterday, raining today, going to rain again tomorrow. And then we're going to have a few back to sunshine in California. But you know what? The rain is really, really needed here. So that's a good thing. If you're listening to us on our global network and you're in London, England, it's 37 degrees and clear. And if you're in Vienna, Austria, it's 37 degrees and it's raining there right now. So you know what? It's that all over the place. You know what though? Right now, it's time for the Harvard Business Tip of the Day. And the management tip today is boost your productivity by protecting your time. Yeah. You know, if you want to get more done, take ownership of your time. Our most satisfying work comes about when we're playing offense, working on projects that we ourselves initiate. Look for ways to automate or delegate activities that are not a good use of your time. Say no to projects that aren't a priority and maintain a relentless focus on self-directed goals that only you can achieve. Program your phone to only ring for select people and resist emails first thing in the morning until you've achieved at least one important task. Now, recognize and honor your physical limitations by getting plenty of exercise and sleep, cycling between 90-minute bursts of focused work and short restorative breaks. And use your vacation time. Top performers view time off not as stalled productivity, but as an investment in their future performance. It's also a reward for good performance. So keep that in mind. That's one of the things you want to keep in mind all the time. Well, you know what? It's time for the secret daily teaching for your life. We've got a short one today, but it's all about a positive mental attitude. And I tell you this every day. You're the one that decides if you're going to be happy or sad or rich or poor, successful or a failure, or whether people around you are going to be happy. You decide that with your attitude first thing in the morning. You know, it should be you wake up and say, good morning, God, not good God, it's morning. You know what? Our actual teaching for today comes from Charles Hanel. He was born in 1866 and he died in 1949. And he says, to acquire love, fill yourself up with it until you become a magnet. Give that some thought. Makes sense, doesn't it? Sure it does. Well, you know what today is. Sure you do. It's Monday. It's March the 7th. And it's somebody's birthday. And we've got some great birthdays for today. Starting off with this person who was born in 1942, died in 2007. And you know what? She was a former wife of a televangelist and later a convicted felon. Happy birthday, Tammy Faye Baker. Yeah, you remember her, right? Sure. How about this one? Here's a guy that was born in 1952, a former professional football player, sportscaster, and current politician. Happy birthday, Lynn Swan. And then finally, born in 1964, an actress and comedian. In 2004, Entertainment Weekly named her as one of the 25 funniest people in America. Happy birthday, Wanda Sykes. Yes. Well, what do you suppose happened today in history? Well, I'm going to tell you. On March the 7th, 1926, the first transatlantic telephone call was made from New York City to London, England. And in 1968, the BBC broadcasts the news for the very first time in color on television. And then finally, 1969, Golda Meir nominated by the Labour Party as the very first female prime minister of Israel. Yeah. Well, our quote for today comes from Colette, and the quote is, hope costs nothing. Think about it. Hope costs nothing. Well, it's time for those interesting but useless facts. Let's get right to them. The first one up today is, the Fresh Kills landfill on Staten Island, New York, opened in 1948 and is the world's largest landfill. It covers 3,000 acres and receives 14,000 tons of garbage every single day. It's scheduled to close, or it did close, in 2002. Now they have big barges for that garbage. Give that some thought. How about this? After completing his book on the French Revolution, the great English historian Thomas Carlyle gave the manuscript to his friend John Stuart Mill to proofread. Now, by mistake, Mill's housemaid used the papers to kindle a fire and destroyed the entire manuscript. Now, undaunted, Carlyle sat down and without benefit of notes, he had destroyed these himself, completely reconstructed, and rewrote the book. Can you imagine that? Wow. Unbelievable. Well, did you know that crows have the largest cerebral hemispheres relative to body size of any avian family? There's a thought for you. How about this? Giant squids have eyes as big as watermelons. Give that some thought. Think about the size of that squid. Wow. Wow, that's a lot of calamari, huh? How about this? Did you know that wild zebras live in Africa? Where would you expect them to live? I don't know. The average ear of corn has 800 kernels. arranged in 16 rows. Now, don't you just want to go right out and buy a husk of corn and count that? Sure you do. The ear of corn? Sure. I don't think so. Did you know that the lowest valued note in the world is the Hong Kong 1 cent note? Did you know that? Yeah. How about this? Did you know the polar bears have 42 teeth? There's an interesting thought for you. 42 teeth? Yep. Well, you know what? Let me leave you with this one. Vampire bats can carry rabies, making their bites potentially dangerous. I think we all knew that. I'm going to give you one more. William Shatner went to Balfour Collegiate, Regina, Saskatchewan, during his high school years. Now, I'll leave you with that one. We'll have more of these things for you tomorrow. In the meantime, do not go away. When we come back, I'm going to answer your emails. And the first email that I have is from Micah Avina, who lives in Saratoga, California, who's got a home sale problem. And I'm going to help out right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, you know what? If you're listening to us on our global network and you're in Madrid, Spain, it's 43 degrees and partly cloudy. And if you're in Tokyo, Japan, 57 degrees and scattered clouds. Well, time for me to answer your emails. I want to start this off by, acknowledging this is an entertainment part of the show. Do my best to answer your questions as thoroughly as I can. But sometimes the information you send us is just a little sketchy. So we always encourage you to contact a licensed professional before you do anything. They're going to generally save you more money than they cost you. And they're going to give you peace of mind. You sleep at night because they have to have, as a condition of their licensing, errors and emissions insurance. That's the same thing as malpractice insurance, which means that if they make a mistake, they pay the piper, not you. Isn't that worth it? Sure, you don't have to worry about registered letters or phone ringing or somebody tapping you on the shoulder. It's good stuff. Well, my first email comes from Micah Avina, as I told you before, from Saratoga, California. That's up north. And she's asking about a home sale problem and says, I sold a residence that qualifies for tax-free gain, but the sales agent issued a 1099 reporting the sale amount to the IRS. If I include it in gross income, then even after deducting the tax-free amount from it, my adjusted gross income will go so high that I'll lose many other deductions. What can I do? Well, great question, Micah. When you sell a home that you owned and used as a primary residence for 2 of the prior 5 years, up to $250,000 a gain on that sale is going to be tax-free, $500,000 if it's on a joint return. Now, this amount is simply not reported on your return. So you don't have the problem that you described, and you don't have to even report that 1099 anywhere on your return as long as none of it is taxable. Now, if part of the gain is taxable, only that taxable portion is going to be included in your gross income. So rest assured, you're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Next email comes from Natalie Bisharat from Lansing, Michigan, asking about donating a house and says, I've owned a house as an investment property for several years. It has declined in value, and I wonder if I can do better by donating it to charity instead of selling it. Well, you know what, Natalie, here's the thing. If you want to make a charitable donation, sell the house first and donate the sales proceeds. If you donate it to charity, you'll receive a charity deduction only for its market value, which has a cash value equal to the amount of the deduction times your marginal tax rate and no loss deduction. So let me give you an example of this. If the house that cost $150,000 is worth $100,000 and you're in the top 35% tax bracket, a sale nets $100,000 cash plus a $50,000 capital loss deduction, deductible either in the current year or in subsequent years, depending on other capital gains transactions. But a donation obtains just a $100,000 charity deduction worth only $35,000 cash, subject to adjusted gross income limitations. Give that some thought. You want to think smart and use that professional that we told you about. Next email comes from Allison Bradbard from Chula Vista, California, asking about earnest money in taxes and says, if a person deposits earnest money on the purchase of a house, then backs out of the deal and forfeits the money, is the loss deductible and is the money taxable income to the seller? That's a good question, Allison. Whether or not the lost earnest money is deductible depends on the intent behind the purchase agreement. Now, if the house was to be purchased to be used as a personal residence, the loss is a personal loss and is not deductible to you. But if it was supposed to be used as an investment or a business property, then the loss can be deducted as an investment or business loss. Now, the purchase money kept by the seller is taxable income to the seller. So hopefully I've answered your questions for you. Well, my last email comes from Elise Burt from Skokie, Illinois, asking about an IRA conversion and says, I'd like to convert my traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, but I'm over the $100,000 income limit for doing so. However, if my wife and I file separate returns, it'll put me under that limit. Will this work? Well, Elise, no. A taxpayer who files married filings separately instead of jointly is not eligible to convert a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. So hopefully I've answered your questions for you. Now, you know what? I want you folks to remember that we have a new app out. I'd like you to get that app. If you have an Apple product, go to the Apple Store and search Robert Cardoza Live, and the app is right there. Download it. It's absolutely free. If you've got a Windows product or an Android product, go to googleplay.com. Do the same thing. Search Robert Cardoza Live. The app is free. If we're broadcasting live like we are right now, you'll see a little red flag that says live there, and you can listen to the show live. You can even chat with us during the show if you choose to. And and if you're not going to listen live, you can listen to one of the archives. There's a little information box that's right there. You tap on whichever show you're looking at, and it'll tell you exactly what is in that show. So hopefully you'll do that and remember to do it. Please tell all your friends about the app too. The app is a great way to listen to Robert Cardoza Live. We broadcast on so many different stations worldwide, including internet stations and terrestrial stations and all kinds of stuff, plus the simulcast that we do here. The easiest way to listen to our show is on that app. So I encourage you to do that.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.